In recent weeks, medical marijuana has become a hotbed issue here in eastern Washington. The feds raided several medical marijuana dispensaries, bringing complaints from patients legally licensed to get the drug who now have nowhere to get it. With all the confusion, you may be asking, what's legal about medical marijuana in Washington? KXLY4's Melissa Luck has the answer in tonight's Good Question.
It didn't take long last month for medical marijuana patients to show up outside several local dispensaries, upset that day because federal agents were cutting off their supply of the drug.
Dispensaries are the only place people can get it, and it's the only safe place people can get it. I mean, we're talking about dealing with elderly, people with cancer, AIDS.
But what the feds were doing that day was enforcing federal law, the law that outlaws the possession of marijuana by anyone for any reason. The feds say that law trumps state law permitting medical marijuana. But the state laws are just as confusing on their own. Just because the state permits it doesn't mean having it is actually legal. Here's what we mean. The state authorizes medical marijuana for patients with qualifying terminal or debilitating illnesses, including chemo-related nausea, AIDS wasting syndrome, muscle spasms associated with multiple sclerosis, and glaucoma. Washington state law only provides an affirmative defense for qualified patients and designated caregivers. That means they can use the medical marijuana defense if they're arrested or charged with a crime. It does not prevent patients from being arrested or charged in the first place. Doctors can't write you a prescription for it, and you can't get it at a pharmacy. There's no actual card you need to get, just a recommendation, and the state doesn't track who has one. State law says buying it from anyone is illegal. The state law clearly says the dispensaries are illegal as well. Patients can grow it, but only for themselves, and only a 60-day supply. And in many cases, your recommendation from the doctor here in Washington will not protect you from prosecution in other states. Confused? So are a lot of people. But until the state of Washington legalizes the sale of marijuana, these dispensaries will be breaking the law if they operate. And patients will continue to be frustrated by a law that allows them to use the drug, but doesn't exactly say they're okay to possess it.
Why should the patients have to go to the alleys to get their medicine?
With this Good Question, I'm Melissa Luck, KXLY4 HD News.
Do you have a good question? Save yourself the trouble on Google. Send your questions to goodquestion@kxly.com.